I didn't really grow up around a lot of television. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have running water, so a lot of our times we really use our creativity to come up with our own games, you know. My name is Julius Badoni, and I am from way out in the boonies. It's called Touchy, Navajo reservation.
Jules is a thinking man's artist, and for me, as a teacher of Native thought and philosophy, I find that really appealing, because Jules's work is a great example of the fact that Native people are deep thinkers too.
This mural represents like the 1970s era of like the struggles back then. Like there's current struggles going on in Indian country right now and different issues that people are trying to address, but I feel like students are so caught up in other things that they don't realize that this happened before, and a lot of the stuff that's going on right now as far as like sacred sites, water issues, and hunting rights, and ceremonial rights, those are issues that people have been, I guess, fighting for in a very, very long time, and I think this mural represents what, I guess, those efforts in the 70s, different leaders and different movements. And I think in a way this mural is, I guess, strategically being painted here to kind of like for students to ask questions, and maybe hopefully if they're involved in issues, if they're concerned about issues, they can research, and modify the tactics that we used back then to nowadays.
He's not the type of artist that just does things for the money. I mean, I hear when I talk to him, he does it to produce something that is satisfying to him emotionally and intrinsically. He does it for a message to the community. It's not a self-centered message. So I think just having that good positive energy will push him forward, and we'll hear more about him in the future.
Well, one of my teachers, Gerald Visner, I remember stating that just saying that you're Indian or American Indian is a political statement. And it's a political statement for the very reason that you're asserting your identity apart from this melting pot mythology, that America thrives on. In other words, by saying that you're Native, Indigenous, Indian, you're affirming your right to be apart from the rest of the mainstream.
I think you had the civil rights movement for mainstream society, and then you had the different movements in the 70s, and the American Indians also here in America also had their own movements, during the American Indian movement. I think around that era there was like a lot of like, I guess that's what this mural represents, that advocacy and that the movement back then. So you had like for the first time American Indians, I guess, were being, well, they have always participated in the wars and stuff like that, but I guess in this part you had the Navajo code talkers right here, and you had a lot of soldiers coming back from the war, and they were going to school and getting educated, and they were also getting involved in the movement too that was building then. Then you had a lot of like reservation communities like doing a lot of organizing back then too, and I think you see a lot of it happening today too, especially with the Navajo reservation. You had the water rights issue, then you had the coal mining on the reservation, then you had the uranium mining in different areas, in the border, outside the borders, so you have the same issues, but at the same time I think it's good to paint this mural because students can realize that it happened before. I feel like we had this huge opportunity before us where we can really reassert ourselves, really become, instead of just surviving, we can start living again.